In the year 1866, the world is seized by panic and wonder at the mysterious appearance of a massive sea creature of unknown origin, a leviathan that strikes fear into the hearts of sailors and nations alike. Ships of various nationalities report sightings of this immense and seemingly invulnerable monster prowling the oceans, and wild speculation spreads about its true nature, with some sailors convinced it must be a gigantic narwhal of impossible dimensions. The United States federal government, concerned for the safety of commerce and national pride, organizes an ambitious expedition in New York City to locate and destroy this elusive threat to maritime safety. Among those invited to join this important mission is Professor Pierre Aronnax, a distinguished French marine biologist and natural scientist who was visiting America at the time, and his invitation comes almost at the last moment, yet he accepts eagerly. Accompanying the professor on this fateful journey are his devoted Flemish manservant Conseil, a man of remarkable learning in biological classification despite his humble station, and Ned Land, a skilled Canadian harpooner of extraordinary talents and reputation whose prowess with the weapon is legendary among the whaling community. The three men embarked from Brooklyn aboard the United States Navy frigate Abraham Lincoln, a vessel selected for its power and speed, and the ship sets its course southward around Cape Horn into the vast Pacific Ocean to hunt for the mysterious creature. For 5 long months, the Abraham Lincoln searches the Pacific waters, traveling to the shores of Japan and beyond, scouring the horizon for any sign of the mysterious monster that seems to elude their every attempt to find it. The crew remains vigilant and hopeful, each sailor eager to be the first to spot the creature and claim the reward promised by the government for its discovery or destruction. Yet Ned Land, seasoned by decades upon the ocean, remains skeptical and cynical, dismissing the entire enterprise as the pursuit of a phantom. For in his vast experience he has never encountered any creature capable of the feats attributed to this supposed monster. Then, at last, when hope begins to fade and the expedition approaches its conclusion, the creature appears off the coast of Japan, emerging from the depths with an eerie phosphorescent glow that illuminates the dark waters surrounding it. Captain Farragut, commanding the Abraham Lincoln, orders the vessel to pursue the mysterious being, and the hunt begins in earnest, with the ship racing through the water at maximum speed. But no matter how fast the frigate travels, the creature always stays just beyond reach, maintaining its distance with an impossible speed and agility that defies explanation. As dawn breaks and the crew prepares for battle, Captain Farragut orders the ship's artillery brought to bear, and cannons thunder across the water, their projectiles aimed at the elusive target. But the cannon fire proves futile, for the shells strike the creature's hide and ricochet away with a metallic clang that reveals a shocking truth. This is no natural beast at all, but a construct of metal and machinery. As the realization dawns upon the crew, the mysterious vessel suddenly accelerates and strikes the Abraham Lincoln with tremendous force, damaging the frigate's rudder and sending the ship into chaos. Professor Aronnax, caught in the confusion, is thrown overboard into the turbulent sea, and in his desperate struggle to remain afloat, he is joined by Ned Land, who has also been swept into the water. Conseil, demonstrating his unwavering loyalty to his master, immediately jumps in after them without hesitation, and the three men cling to survival in the cold depths. As morning approaches, they discover that the creature upon which they are clinging is not a living beast, but rather an enormous submarine of revolutionary design, the Nautilus, and they await discovery with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Hours pass in anxious silence until finally they are captured and brought inside the vessel, where they are locked in a cabin and left alone to contemplate their extraordinary circumstance. When at last the cabin door opens, the three prisoners are introduced to the captain and creator of this underwater marvel, the enigmatic and mysterious Captain Nemo, a man of commanding presence and piercing gaze who seems to embody both brilliance and deep melancholy. Nemo explains to them that the Nautilus is powered by electricity and is capable of advanced marine research and exploration far beyond the reaches of any surface vessel or government authority. He reveals that his submarine allows him to exist in complete self-imposed exile from terrestrial civilization, pursuing scientific knowledge while remaining beyond the reach of those who would seek to control or destroy him. But he informs them with absolute finality that their knowledge of his secret existence means they can never be permitted to leave the Nautilus, for they must remain aboard permanently as captives, forever bound to the vessel and its mysterious captain. Although this pronouncement fills them with despair, Nemo offers them some consolation. They will be treated well and will be allowed to witness the extraordinary wonders and mysteries of the ocean that few humans have ever glimpsed. Professor Aronnax, despite his initial shock and dismay, finds himself gradually captivated by the prospect of scientific discovery and marine exploration. The days aboard the Nautilus unfold as an endless parade of wonders and marvels as the submarine travels across the vast Pacific Ocean, traversing regions both known and unexplored. The professor is granted access to the ship's remarkable library and scientific instruments, and he spends hours studying the charts and records of the Nautilus's remarkable voyages. Captain Nemo often invites Aronnax to join him in exploring the underwater world, and one day he extends an invitation to the Professor Conseil and Ned to participate in an underwater hunt on the island of Crespo. An invitation that fills them with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Equipped with sophisticated diving suits that allow them to breathe underwater for hours and armed with pneumatic air guns for hunting, the three men descend into the submarine forests of the island, marveling at the exotic marine fauna and the otherworldly beauty of the underwater landscape. They hunt for food and observe the intricate ecosystems that flourish in the ocean depths, and Aronnax finds himself mesmerized by the scientific discoveries he makes with every step. On another occasion, the three men witness the death of one of the Nautilus's crew members, who has been killed in a mysterious collision experienced by the ship, and they attend an underwater funeral, observing as the captain and crew pay solemn respects to their fallen companion. The Nautilus continues its journey across the world's oceans, and the prisoners witness encounters with giant squid, enormous creatures referred to as devilfish by the sailors, which attack the submarine and kill another crewman in a fierce battle of terrible violence and bloodshed. As time passes, Nemo becomes increasingly distant and withdrawn from his captives, spending long hours alone in his cabin or on deck, and he seems preoccupied with some personal mission or purpose that he keeps hidden from them. The professor comes to understand that the captain's dual motivation, his quest for scientific knowledge and his desire to escape civilization, masks a deeper purpose, a mission of revenge against a powerful imperialist nation that has conquered his homeland and slaughtered his family, leaving him embittered and driven by a consuming need for vengeance. The later pages of the Nautilus's voyage revealed that Nemo once lived as a person of wealth and influence in his native country, but his life was destroyed when that nation fell to foreign conquest. When the submarine returns to the Atlantic Ocean, a school of giant squid attacks and kills another crewman, and Nemo withdraws even further, leaving the captain to remain largely isolated from the professor for weeks at a time. As the Nautilus approaches the coast near England, Nemo makes precise observations and declares that he has found the spot he has been seeking, a location of tremendous personal significance to him. The submarine dives deep into the water, and they come upon the wreck of a battleship called the Marseille, a vessel that had fought heroically in a battle against the British, and whose captain chose to sink the ship and all its crew rather than surrender to the enemy. This discovery shakes Nemo to his very core, and it becomes clear that this vessel represents something of profound importance to his personal quest. Shortly after, the Nautilus is greeted with cannon fire from a warship that has been sent to capture or destroy the mysterious submarine. For Captain Farragut, the commander of the Abraham Lincoln, has returned to America and revealed the existence and capabilities of the Nautilus to the world. Nemo responds to this attack with cold precision and fury, sending everyone below deck and engaging in a deadly game of cat and mouse with his adversary. The three prisoners realize that this is their opportunity to attempt an escape, and they quickly devise a plan to flee the vessel. As the warship draws closer, they prepare to make a desperate dash for the enemy ship, hoping to reach safety and escape their captivity. But before they can execute their plan, the Nautilus dives beneath the surface and rams the warship from below with tremendous force, dealing such damage that the ship begins to sink into the depths, taking all of its crew with it to their watery graves. This act of violence, carried out by the captain whom Aronnax once admired, fills the professor with horror and revulsion, for he realizes that Nemo is not merely a scientist or an exile but a man consumed by hatred and driven to acts of terrible destruction. In his anguish over this revelation, Aronnax witnesses Nemo kneeling before a portrait of his deceased wife and children, a portrait that hangs in his private quarters, and the captain sinks into deep depression and despair. The atmosphere aboard the Nautilus becomes oppressive and suffocating, but watches are no longer kept by the crew, and the vessel wanders aimlessly through the ocean depths without purpose or direction. Ned becomes increasingly reclusive and withdrawn, so much so that Conseil fears for the harpooner's mental well-being and his sanity. Then, one morning, Ned announces that he has spotted land approximately 20 miles to the east, and despite the stormy seas and dangerous conditions, he believes that the dinghy has a chance of making the journey to shore. Aronnax finds himself torn between his lingering fascination with Captain Nemo and his growing horror at the man's actions, and he knows that he must escape this vessel before he becomes further corrupted by the captain's vendetta. The three men planned their escape with meticulous care, agreeing to depart the Nautilus at 10 o'clock that evening, when the darkness will provide them with cover and the greatest chance of success. As evening approaches, Professor Aronnax wanders the corridors of the Nautilus, feeling drawn toward the captain one final time. Yet he also fears that Nemo's very presence might weaken his resolve to leave. He decides to avoid any direct contact with the captain, fearing that a final conversation might change his mind or that Nemo might force him to stay aboard the ship. But as Aronnax makes his way through the darkened corridors toward the boat, he hears the sound of Nemo's voice emanating from the saloon, crying out in anguish and desperation, "Oh, Almighty God, enough, enough." These words strike Aronnax deeply, for they suggest that even Captain Nemo is reaching the limits of his capacity to endure his own hatred and desire for revenge. Hearing this cry from the depths of Nemo's soul, Aronnax is moved with compassion. but he also realizes that he cannot save the captain from himself, and he knows that his only choice is to proceed with his escape. The professor immediately joins his companions at the submarine's boat, and Ned and Conseil help him prepare the vessel for departure, carefully disconnecting it from the Nautilus and making final preparations for their flight. But just as they are about to cast off and begin their escape, they hear panicked voices echoing through the corridors of the submarine, shouting a single word that fills them with dread and fear: Maelstrom. The three men suddenly realize that the Nautilus has been caught in the most dangerous waters on Earth, the notorious and deadly whirlpool located between the Faroe Islands and the Lofoten Islands, a place from which no vessel has ever escaped. The submarine spins dizzyingly in the whirlpool's devastating current, and the three prisoners struggle desperately to hold on as the boat is buffeted by enormous waves and tremendous forces beyond their control. Ned shouts to them to hold on to something, anything, to maintain their grip on life itself. But at that very moment there comes a loud crashing sound and the bolts connecting the boat to the Nautilus are torn away, sending the small vessel spinning into the maelstrom. Professor Aronnax feels his head strike against a piece of iron with terrible force, and consciousness slips away from him as he loses all awareness of what is happening around him. The professor eventually awakens on the shore of an island in Norwegian waters, rescued from the whirlpool by forces beyond his control, and he finds Ned Land and Conseil alive and safe beside him. The three men are bewildered and traumatized by their experience in the maelstrom, and they remain uncertain about the fate of Captain Nemo and the Nautilus, which seems to have been pulled into the depths by the whirlpool's tremendous power. The professor never discovers what became of the submarine or its mysterious captain, and he can only speculate about Nemo's final moments beneath the waves. Aronnax returns to civilization and begins to document his extraordinary experiences aboard the Nautilus, compiling his journals and notes into a comprehensive account of the underwater wonders he witnessed and the remarkable scientific discoveries he made during his captivity. He reflects upon his complex feelings toward Captain Nemo, recognizing in the man both a brilliant scientist and a tragic figure consumed by hatred and the desire for revenge. The professor commits to preserving the memory of the Nautilus and its remarkable technology, knowing that the world will struggle to believe the truth of what he has experienced. He takes comfort in the knowledge that Ned and Conseil have survived their ordeal and returned safely, and he notes that his account of the Nautilus will inspire future generations to pursue their own journeys of exploration and discovery beneath the sea. The ocean remains vast and mysterious, filled with wonders yet to be discovered and secrets yet to be revealed. And Professor Aronnax's account becomes a testament to the power of scientific curiosity and the importance of preserving the natural world and its mysteries for posterity and future study.